Hi, myself Balwant Singh. Today, me and my teammates will tell you more about Dianetics was created in 1950 by my man named L. Ron Hubbard. Before this, he was actually a science fiction writer. Hubbard said he had discovered a new way to remove emotion and pain, even cures and physical pain illnesses. At the time, this sounded very exciting and the idea became very popular. It also became very controversial.
Hi, today I'll provide some information about key personalities in Dianetics. So, when we talk about Dianetics, the name that always comes up is Ron Hubbard. He was actually a science fiction writer before he created Dianetics in 1950. His big idea was something called auditing, which he said could help clear negative thoughts from the mind. He explained all this in his book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health. Even though scientists criticized it, the book became super popular. And that's how Dianetics really took off. Another key personality was John Campbell, the editor of Astounding Science fiction magazine. He wasn't a psychologist, but he strongly believed in Hubbard's idea and helped promote them. Without him, Dianetics probably wouldn't have reached the science fiction crowd or gained as much attention as it did today. After Hubbard passed away, David Miscavige, I don't know I'm pronouncing it right or no, but I think it's David Miscavige, took over as the leader of the Church of Scientology, which Dianetic is now part of. He didn't help create it, but he's been in charge of keeping it alive and running till this date. There were also a few other important names. Sarah Northrop, Hubbard's second wife, helped with the early development but later became a huge critic. And Volney Matheson invented the e-meter, a tool which is still used in some psychology session today. And Richard DeMille was involved in the early days with Hubbard, but later spoke out against the practice as his wife, I guess. And in recent years, Tony Ortega, a journalist who has investigated and challenged Dianetics through his blog, The Underground Bunker. So there are many personalities, like some personalities which have helped to promote Dianetics, but also some personalities which are trying to prove it wrong. So these all of these personalities are important. So just to quickly recap, the key personalities that we talked about today are Ron Hubbard, most important I guess, John Campbell, David Miscavige, Sarah Northrop, Hubbard's wife, Volney Matheson, Richard DeMille, and Tony Ortega. Because of these people, Dianetic is what it is today, and it's important to know about them before getting into Dianetics. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, myself Balwant Singh from the Paranoid Group. Today I will talk about main ideas and assumptions of Dianetics. The main idea begins with how Ron Hubbard divided human mind into two distinct parts. The first part is known as analytical mind. This is the logical and conscious aspect of thinking, which is the part we actively use to reason, solve problems, and analyze situations, and make thoughtful decisions for our daily lives. The second part, according to Hubbard, is what you refer to the reactive mind and the hidden unconscious area of the mind, where he claimed painful, traumatic, and distressing memories a specific name, engrams. According to Hubbard, these engrams are much more than just memories hidden in the mind. He explained the act like an invisible program, secretly control the way he think, feel and behave, often without us even realizing it. For example, he said these engrams responsible for things like irrational feels and don't make sense, sudden burst of anger that feel out of control, deep sadness that comes without a reason, even some physical health problems that doctors can't explain. Howard believed that these engrams are hidden memories stored in the reactive mind. They will keep holding people back from reaching their full potential, stopping them living calm, potential, and happy. In short, he thought engrams are invisible barriers, and getting rid of them could completely change a person's life for better. Hubbard's solution was to remove these engrams. If a person could erase all these painful memories from the reactive mind, then they will reach a perfect state that he called clear. A clear person, according to Hubbard, has no emotional pain, no irrational fears, and no mental blocks. They can think more clearly, make better decisions, having sharper memory, even enjoyed better physical health. In other words, Hubbard promised the people to become best version of themselves. To remove these engrams, he introduced a process called auditing. In auditing, a person called auditor helps the another person to release their pains and memories and negative effects. Sometimes a small machine called e-meter, this machine measures changes in the body, electric signals, which could show emotional reactions. Herbert believed that this was the scientific way to track those hidden memories. Now, let's take a closer look at the assumptions behind all these ideas from Hubbard. First, Hubbard assumed that every painful, traumatic memory experiences and recorded in our mind with perfect accuracy, almost like a high-quality video. And these recordings are stored quickly in what he called a reactive mind. Second, he believed that these stored memories are not just recordings sitting in the background. Instead, he assumed that they are the main causes of why people sometimes behave in irrational ways, experience sudden emotion, or even develop certain physical illnesses seems to have no other explanations. And third, Herbert assumed that if a person could confront these painful memories and raise their negative effects, which according to him is done through a special process called auditing, then the person could reach and describe the clear state. In this clear state, Herbert claimed people would be happier, healthier, and more intelligent, emotionally stable, and even free from many limitations. These promises sound powerful, and many people believe that. Think about it. Who doesn't want to be free from pain, fear, and sadness? The idea of becoming perfect version of yourself is very attractive. And for people who are suffering from emotional and physically, it seems like a miracle solution. But here's where the problems come. The idea that every painful memory needs to be recorded perfectly and just need to be erased is not how memory works. Also, emotional and mental health problems are often much more complex than simply removing one bad memory. There are many factors involved, like a biology, relationships, and even ongoing life stress. So, even though Hubbard's idea might sound positive, but scientists said that they are based on assumptions that don't really match how the human brain and minds actually work. So, to summarize these main ideas of Dianetics, the mind has two parts, the analytical and the reactive. Painful memories, called engrams, control us. Auditing is used to clear those engrams. Becoming clear is supposed to make a person healthier, happier, and smarter. These ideas are interesting, but they are only assumptions. not facts. That is why Dianetics is often called pseudoscience. Now, one of my group members, Lauren, will tell you more about methods and evidence of Dianetics.
Okay, so the basic idea behind Dianetics is that all of your emotional and your physical problems stem from past traumas. People who believe in this process also believe that the mind is made up of two parts, the analytical mind and the reactive mind. So the analytical mind is like the conscious mind. It's where all of your thought, your thinking happens. It's where all your complete memories are stored. It's like the good part of the brain. The other part of the brain is the reactive mind. This is the part of the brain that only reacts to pain and suffering. It is both emotional and physical pain. It's like the animal part of the brain. Reactions that are done by this brain are especially powerful when you're either unconscious or you're very overwhelmed. And all of these painful experiences created and held in the reactive mind are called engrams. So what is an engram? An engram is a mental recording of the trauma. So it's, just like the clear memory of what had happened to you, right? And people who believe in Dianetics believe that this engram needs to be cleared, as they can keep affecting you mentally over time and physically over time. They're the cause of all emotional and physical pain. So, cleared, what does this mean? What is a clear? A clear is what the ultimate goal of Dianetics is. It's basically someone who has gotten rid of all of their engrams. No engrams, you are clear, right? It is believed that clears are smarter and healthier and overall just more free than regular people. And if you still have your engrams, you are called a pre-clear. So what is the actual process of going through a Dianetic therapy session? Anyways, it's called auditing. So auditing happens when a pre-clear, someone who hasn't gotten rid of their engrams yet, lays in a comfortable position, sits in a comfortable position in a comfortable room with someone who's running the audit. And this person who's running the audit is called an auditor. So an auditor can really just be anyone. Sometimes it's a trained professional, other times it's just a friend of the pre-clear. And basically the auditor's job is to talk the pre-clear through the events. They're asking them to relive completely in full sensory detail of this traumatic event rather than just simply trying to remember the trauma. If that makes sense. So it's going for reliving the moment. You're being in it again instead of just thinking about what happened, right? The whole idea behind this is that by confronting these engrams, they will completely lose their power and they will no longer be able to affect you in negative ways. One tool in specific is used during this auditing process, and it's called an e-meter. Basically, the idea behind it is that they believed that your emotions create an electrical charge as they're created in you, and so the e-meter it uses a small electrical current and is hooked up to your skin and tracks the electrical charges of the surface of your skin to convey different emotions. Now there isn't a ton of evidence to support Dianetics actually working. In the beginning, Hubbard tried to make it a legit thing, being hey, this is a good alternative for lobotomies or other psychiatric care that was happening at the time. But now really any proof comes from success stories, like a man who woke up a child from the dead. Another one is an old man learned how to walk again. They're just stories. There's no real scientific proof that these actually worked. Another big part of the proof that we have now is rooted in faith, because Dianetics plays such a huge role in the Church of Scientology. And from that, they've gotten lots of celebrity endorsements from Tom Cruise and John Travolta. So really it's just a way to grab in and take it on vulnerable people, really. So yeah.
Hey everyone, I Veerpal Kaur Brar. Today I will talk about the Dianetics and why the many experts criticize it. To begin, Dianetics was introduced by the L. Ron Hubbard in 1950. He claimed that many people can remove the mental and the physical illness by facing a painful memories, which he called the engrams. These engrams, he said, are stored in the reactive mind and which causes the illness. To remove them, the Hubbard created a process called the auditing. However, many experts strongly disagree with the Hubbard's idea. First of all, the Dianetics is not supported by the real science. Psychologists and the brain researchers say the reactive mind isn't a real concept. There is no scientific proof that auditing works. That's why many professionals call the Dianetics as a pseudoscience. It sounds like a scientific, but it does not support any scientific concepts. In addition to that, Dianetics can be harmful to the mental health. It asks the people to relieve the painful memories, but without the doctors or the therapist. This can make a people feel worse or not better. It can lead to more anxiety, depression, or even PTSD. Another big concern is the cost. Dianetics is very expensive. People have to pay for the books, courses, or even the auditing sessions. Many auditing sessions cost over $1,000 per hour, and there is no guarantee that any of it will help. Many people feel the manipulated or even taken advantage of it. Moving forward, also Dianetics is closely connected to the Church of the Scientology. After some time, Dianetics became the part of the religion. Scientology has been accused of things like controlling members, taking their money, pressuring them to stay in the group. Some drawbacks says the Dianetics is just a way to recruit people into Scientology. Most importantly, Dianetics tells the people to avoid the real medical care. Hubbard said Dianetics could cure the things like asthma and arthritis. Because of this, some followers refuse the real treatment, and this can be very dangerous, even deadly, for people with the serious illness. At the last, in conclusion, Dianetics may look like a helpful self-improvement method, but it is not scientific. It can cause the mental harm, it costs a lot of money, and it may lead to the people away from the real medical help. That's why many experts and former members want the people to stay away from it. Thank you for listening.
My name is Ujasvi Sarulia and I'm from the team Paranoids, and I'm discussing the conclusion part of. After doing research on the topic of Dianetics, we all were a bit confused. To be honest, we understood that there were certain reasons why people believed this theory because it was quite convincing. But clearing the head with all the bad ideas and pain, this sounds very good and tempting. But when we look deeper into this, there was very few scientific sources backing up the theory. To be honest, it was on my finger counts. While it was while this stood like Dianetics was tackling mental health issues, we found there were very few scientific research and resources done on this topic. There were sincere reason behind how people want to get healed and become mentally strong, but there is no actual proof of that. This can be dangerous to the person who is still low and vulnerable. However, it is truly amazing how Hubbard's small idea got into it is still in relevance, got big got very big just by convincing words. This is the great example of how words can be so convincing, and it's still in relevance. When we digged, like me and my batchmates, like when we digged into this topic, like there were only convincing words we could find. There was nothing scientific behind it. How far belief the faith can go. In the end, we all were on the same page for the Dianetics. It was meant to help the people mental health, but nothing can prove actually, like there is nothing scientific behind it that Dianetic actually worked. It is simply a pseudoscience.